There are several circumstances that might lead you to troubleshoot issues with your RV's thermostat, like the furnace or AC runs continuously without cycling, or maybe the set temperature doesn't match your RV's actual temperature, the display can be dim or blank, the display temperature doesn't change once your AC or furnace runs for a while, or maybe the display is just completely unresponsive or has lost power. Now, while there are several popular analog thermostat brands available, like Dometic and Suburban, plus a myriad of digital units like Furion, GE, and Coleman, our aim for this troubleshooting tutorial is to provide general tips that apply to most common RV thermostats. So from analog to digital, most RV thermostats are going to require 12-volt DC power, which is what separates them from residential thermostats. At their core, they're basically just switches that turn your AC or furnace on or off at specified temps. That said, the specific owner's manual that came with your heating and cooling system, your furnace and air conditioner, are going to be your best resource for troubleshooting tips and maintenance for your specific unit. However, again, let's go ahead and dive into some common troubleshooting steps you can follow if your RV thermostat is not working. The first check is to check if your battery disconnect is on. So most RVs nowadays are equipped with a disconnect switch that essentially it prevents parasitic draws from draining your RV's battery while it's in storage. So these switches can be found outside like this one, inside, maybe in a compartment. It's all going to depend, of course, upon your RV. But for 12-volt power to be supplied to your thermostat, this switch has to allow power to freely flow from your batteries to your 12-volt appliances inside. So you want to check that the switch is in the correct position before proceeding. Now, whether your RV is equipped with a disconnect switch or not, it's also a smart time to check that all of your battery cables are secure and free of corrosion. The next check is to check if the control itself is actually functioning. So both analog and digital thermostats require sufficient power from your RV batteries, kind of like we talked about. So while the disconnect has to be in the right position and your battery cables have to be verified they're secure, it's not going to mean much if the batteries themselves are discharged beyond a practical level. For instance, when the charge of a standard lead acid battery drops below 11.6 volts, you'll start to have issues with 12-volt digital electronics inside your RV. If the voltage continues to fall below 10.6 volts, your analog electronics are going to be affected. So if your digital display doesn't turn on after the first check, it's time to measure the battery voltage. For analog displays, you can raise the thermostat setting above the ambient temperature and then toggle the on-off switch to the on position, and that should activate the blower motor if adequate battery power is present. If it doesn't, that's also your signal to measure battery voltage. And that brings us to check number 3, which is to confirm AC and DC power. So while the thermostat display itself will function with 12-volt DC power, other HVAC components, such as your air conditioner, will require 120-volt AC power from a shore power connection or an appropriately sized generator. To help confirm that the issue is isolated to the thermostat itself and not the result of insufficient power, you'll need to confirm you have adequate AC and DC power to your coach. So here's where you'll need your multimeter to measure the current 12-volt state of charge of your RV's batteries. And if you measure below 11.6 volts DC, you'll need to recharge the batteries using a portable generator, shore power, or just running your tow vehicle before retesting your thermostat. Now, if you don't have a multimeter, some other practical tests you can perform to verify that you have adequate 12-volt power include raising and lowering the tongue jack or operating slide rooms or awnings. So this step will also require verifying that all DC fuses are in place and not blown. You will, of course, want to replace blown fuses as needed. So at this stage, you want to ensure that you're plugged into a properly rated 120-volt AC connection according to your RV's rated electrical requirements, either 30 or 50 amp. Now, on the power pedestal itself, you want to ensure that the breaker for the outlet you're plugged into is on and has the proper voltage and polarity. If you have doubts about the quality of the shore power, you can also consider connecting to a portable generator with, of course, sufficient starting and running wattage to meet your RV's electrical requirements. Now, using a surge protector with a display like this one for voltage and polarity will help you double check for any electrical issues before plugging your RV into the power source. Now, with a properly rated 120-volt AC connection in place, you do want to return to your electrical panel and just verify that no AC breakers are tripped, and of course reset any if they did trip. With confidence that we have adequate AC and DC power, the next step is going to be to try a soft thermostat reset. Now, the exact process does depend on the manufacturer. For example, many Dometic thermostats like this one can actually reset by turning the thermostat off and then simultaneously pressing the mode and up buttons until two dashes appear on the display. Now, the soft reset procedure will vary for thermostats made by other manufacturers, of course, but the purpose essentially remains the same across models. And that is that the purpose is just to help recalibrate the settings and resolve some communication issues, right, between the thermostat and your other HVAC appliances like your air conditioner or furnace. Now, if a soft reset doesn't remedy your issue, a hard reset may be required. But a word of caution here, if you have a digital, programmable, smart thermostat, right, a full reset can actually erase any preset ranges or climate control settings, so you may need to reprogram your settings after a hard reset just to ensure your RV's heating and cooling system work the way you want them to. Here are the hard reset procedures for the most common RV thermostats. First, you need to find the circuit breaker for the air conditioner and air handler, and then turn these the breakers completely off. You want to leave them off for at least 3 to 5 minutes to allow the system to fully discharge, then flip the breakers back on. Now, in general, a hard reset can help resolve issues for thermostats that are maybe stuck in a single mode, those that are just performing irregularly after a power outage or fluctuation, or those that are just completely unresponsive altogether. And finally, there are just a couple more checks that you can perform by simply removing the thermostat's faceplate. Now, many faceplates are just held in place with tabs like this one, just offering relatively easy removal without the need for additional tools. But your manual will also be a valuable resource to consult if you don't know how to take the faceplate off. Once it is removed, you'll then want to inspect for any loose, disconnected, or damaged wiring, right? This is also a good time to check the contacts, ensuring that no dust or misaligned components could be compromising button operation. In many cases, simply removing and reinstalling fuses or Molex connections will clean the contact points of light oxidation, essentially restoring normal functionality. Now, this is especially important on touchscreen control panels and digital displays with multiple buttons. Now, if your thermostat still isn't working after these checks, then unfortunately it's probably time to schedule a complete diagnostic with a certified RV technician. I will put a link in the description to help you contact our service department, but please don't hesitate to leave questions or comments about thermostat troubleshooting below. We'll do our absolute best to help you solve your problem, and we just love hearing how you may have remedied your past thermostat issues. I'm Ian Baker, and until next time, we'll see you.